A man is doing maintenance on the outside of a building when something goes wrong. He plummets toward the ground at breakneck speed. Luckily, at the very last second, the rope knots up and catches him mid-air. At first he thinks it's just an equipment malfunction, but then he spots someone on the stairwell, scrambling to get away. Jace, a former special agent, instantly realizes this was no accident, someone just tried to kill him. After making sure the rope is locked tight, he rappels straight down. The moment his feet hit the ground, the mystery figure bolts out of the church. But after a set of stairs, the gap between them widens. The stranger escapes with help from an accomplice waiting nearby. Jace immediately senses something worse and sprints all the way home. Only when he sees his wife safe and sound does his racing heart finally settle. But why would anyone target Jace, a window cleaner? Of all people? What secrets are lurking beneath the surface? The story begins a year earlier. Jace was a member of the National Gendarmerie. One night, training ran late. On his way home, he got an unexpected distress call from his buddy working a shift at a hotel. The guy heard several gunshots from upstairs. Instead of calling the cops, he reached out to Jace directly. Jace, always the reckless type, rushed over without clearance from his superiors, and that one decision would change everyone's lives forever. They arrived at the hotel quickly. After gearing up with basic weapons, they walked straight into the lobby. While talking to the hotel manager, they spotted 3 suspicious men coming down the stairs. Jace sent his partner Nick over to question them, but the second Nick opened his mouth, Jace's instincts kicked in. He dropped one of them instantly. He then found himself in a standoff with a gunman holding a hostage, while another teammate engaged the remaining suspect. During the tense standoff, the down partner struggled on the ground and squeezed off a round. Jace seized the moment and put a bullet right through the hostage taker. The hostage was saved, but in the chaos, she stumbled into a pool of blood and accidentally smeared some onto Jace's arm patch. Police arrived shortly after. Tragically, Jace's best friend bled out and died, because Jace acted without authorization. The outcome was devastating: 3 dead, 1 wounded. He was detained for 24 hours. Facing his commanding officer, Jace took all the blame himself, but it didn't matter. He and his teammates were all discharged from the gendarmerie. Before leaving, Jace stared at his father's commendation photo on the wall, fighting back tears. He went to say goodbye to his fallen brother. The sight of it shattered him completely. The dead don't come back. Then he visited his injured buddy, Blake, whose diagnosis was a permanent fracture. Despite the crushing guilt Jace carried, Blake didn't blame him one bit. He offered comfort instead. Meanwhile, the news covered the incident, calling the 2 dead men ordinary burglars, but their shooting skills and tactical moves told a different story. Jace and Blake sensed something was off, but without hard evidence, their hands were tied. The next day, while sorting his clothes, Jace noticed the bloodstain on his arm patch. Driven by suspicion, he drove to a lab. The results came back fast. The dead man was a former Special Forces operative, working for the National Security Bureau on classified missions. Here's what actually happened that night at the hotel. A colonel from Country M's strike force came to negotiate a deal with Country A. They checked into a room, extremely cautious, but the moment they stepped out, 2 Security Bureau agents slipped in, opened a briefcase, and started photographing documents. The colonel, having forgotten his phone, doubled back and noticed a marker sticker he'd left had fallen off. Sensing trouble, the 2 agents crept into the room, but the faint sound of the door alerted the colonel. As the agents fled downstairs, they ran right into Jace, and tragedy struck. Blake now understood how deep this went and warned Jace to drop it. Thinking of his newly pregnant wife, Jace locked the arm patch and his findings in a bank safety deposit box. He hid the key inside the chimney on his rooftop. He thought that would be the end of it. But one day, they came home to find their front door pried open. The place was torn apart, yet nothing of value was missing. This was already the 2nd time that month. His wife suspected he was hiding something, but Jace played dumb. What he didn't realize was that his silence would drag her into mortal danger. That night, after she fell asleep, he climbed onto the roof, retrieved the key from below the chimney, and moved it, threading it onto a wire and stashing it inside the bathroom sink drain. His wife woke from the noise and came in. Suddenly, a violent crash echoed from the front door. Masked thugs burst in. Jace threw himself at them without hesitation. His combat training kept him in the fight, but he was outnumbered. They were both restrained. To frame him, the thugs pressed his fingerprints onto a handgun. Then they threatened his pregnant wife, demanding to know where the evidence was hidden. Jace was trapped between his guilt toward his friend and protecting his wife, but they didn't wait for his answer. They dragged her away. All Jace could do was scream helplessly before they knocked him out. When he came to, they held up a phone and issued their threat. Having seen how far they'd go, Jace had no choice but to comply. They also informed him he was now wanted for murdering a colleague. That fingerprint-covered gun was the proof. Every exit was sealed. To save his wife, Jace bolted home the moment the car dropped him off. But police had already cordoned off the scene. The planted gun and a body had been found. Thinking fast, he scaled the building to the rooftop, crept along to a window, and slipped inside. He rushed to the bathroom and his stomach dropped. The key was gone. Before he could process it, a forensic tech walked in and spotted him. Jace reacted instantly, breaking through the police perimeter. Without the key, he needed a new plan. He linked up with Blake, they crafted a fake patch, then headed to the rendezvous point. Before arriving, Jace slipped a tracker into his shoe while Blake provided cover from the shadows. Soon, the kidnappers pulled up and drove Jace to a remote house. After being patted down, he was brought before the ringleader, Connie. Jace refused to hand over the patch until he saw his wife. Connie had no choice but to take him to her. Once he confirmed she was alive, he told Connie where the patch was hidden. A henchman retrieved it quickly. With the prize in hand, Connie used Jace's phone to send his coordinates to the police, then ordered his men to clean up. At the critical moment, rustling came from nearby bushes. A thug cautiously went in to check. He came back out, declaring it was nothing. 3 sudden gunshots rang out. Connie knew something was wrong. His radio went dead. He sent men to investigate, but they were no match for Jace's team. They pushed the enemies back and sped off in a car. Connie launched a full pursuit. 2 vehicles quickly flanked them. After repelling an attack, they discovered his wife had been hit by a stray bullet. Worse, her water had broken. To keep his wife and child alive, Jace jumped from the moving car to draw the pursuers away. Sure enough, the chase cars stopped for him. Connie and Jace went one-on-one. Just then, a police motorcycle officer arrived only to be taken down by Connie immediately, but it gave Jace his opening. He dashed for the bike while Connie reloaded. Connie gave chase, and to make things worse, police backup arrived too. Boxed in from both sides, Jace used a drainage ditch to shake the cops and ducked back into the woods. But a motorcycle can't outrun a squad car. They closed in again. Then, like a miracle, a paraglider hobbyist appeared nearby. Jace, a man of many talents, commandeered the paraglider and took off just before the police reached him. Meanwhile, Connie turned his attention to Blake, using the tracker to set up an ambush at an intersection. Blake's driving skills saved him from the roadblock, but his wife was fading fast from blood loss. Jace called just in time, giving her a brief lifeline of hope. He urged Blake to get her to the hospital immediately, unaware that Blake had taken a bullet to the gut during the earlier firefight. But with 2 lives in the back seat, Blake gritted through the pain and floored it. Jace followed the tracker and caught up. Under his guidance, Blake finally reached the hospital, but Connie was right behind them. Just as he aimed his gun at Blake, Jace delivered a flying kick. The threat wasn't over as he struggled to detach his paraglider harness. The driver emerged from the car. In that desperate moment, Connie lunged at Jace, clamping his hands around his throat. Jace broke free just in time. His former gendarmerie teammates had now surrounded him, weapons drawn, ordering him to surrender. But Jace walked straight past them, opened the car door, and lifted his unconscious wife into his arms. Seeing this, every officer lowered their gun. After his wife was rushed into surgery, Jace was taken into custody. During his time in detention, she gave birth to their son. Seeing them both alive and safe, that was all he needed. He expected to be locked up for a long time. Instead, he was released. It turned out that when the thugs broke in that night, his wife had secretly hidden the key. She later turned over the evidence to the authorities. The truth came to light. Blake recovered fully thanks to the timely rescue. And so the story ends. The villains got what they deserved. Jace showed us that protecting the ones you love, that's what fighting through adversity is all about.